when you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, baby, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer or fall, now all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got a friend.
Last Sunday was different. It was different for all of us. But I got up and I went to both churches like I normally do. As I got into the car, I looked back and there was a big robin sitting on the porch. It was as big as a small cat. I looked at the robin and it looked at me. And I asked the robin, I said, "Big boy, what about Easter?" The robin looked at me and just flew off. I've had many experiences with robins. Robins are my favorite bird. They remind us that spring is near, hope and assurance. I have had many conversations with robins. I do talk to robins. And you know, sometimes it seems like they talk back. Well, I got into the car and I went to the churches, and they were different. Nobody there. And I walked the halls, I drank coffee, and I prayed. And one thing came to my mind as I was walking the halls of both churches. What would my mother do at a time like this? And it didn't take long, the answer just came instantly. It wouldn't matter if the President of the United States, the governor, the bishop of the United Methodist Church, the district superintendent, it would not matter. I don't believe they could keep her from going to church. So at both churches I lit a candle, just for her and others that are struggling with the idea of not going to church. I stayed till about noon, and then I went back to the parsonage, and I drove up, and as I got out of the car, that robin was in the bird feeder. And I stepped out, and that robin shook its head and spit out a seed. And the robin looked at me and said, "What about Lazarus? What about Lazarus?" I began to think. You know, Lazarus was a disciple of Jesus Christ. He didn't follow Jesus through the towns and the communities, but he was still a disciple. It seems that Lazarus was a man of wealth, and he supported the ministry of Jesus. Lazarus had two sisters. I don't think they were twins because they were opposite. Martha was busy about so many things. She was always doing chores. She could not sit down for 1 minute. She was always busy doing this and that. Mary, all Mary wanted to do was to be with Jesus, to listen to his words and his teachings. They were opposite. One time, Jesus had gathered his disciples, and they were at Lazarus' house for a meal. And Martha was back there. You could hear the pots and the pans and the grunts. She was busy preparing the meal, yet Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to every word he said. Martha goes to Jesus and says, "Can't you get Mary to give me a little bit of help?" And Jesus looks at Martha and says, "Martha, Mary has chosen a good thing." Later on, Jesus and his disciples are in a field away from Jerusalem, away from Bethany. They were there, and messengers from Lazarus' house come to Jesus and says, "Lazarus, the one you love, your friend has fallen ill unto death." It seems that Jesus doesn't respond. But later the next day, Jesus gathers his disciples around and says, "We must go to Lazarus, for he has fallen asleep." And one of the disciples said, "Well, if he's asleep, he'll wake up." But Jesus says, "Lazarus is dead." They go and they meet Martha and Mary outside the gate. Martha and Mary run to Jesus. Jesus was their friend. They run to Jesus and said, "Lord, if you had been here, our brother, the one you love, your friend Lazarus, would not have died." And Jesus says, "Your brother will rise again." Martha says, "Yes, Lord, we know. We know on the last day, the day of resurrection, he will rise again." And Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those that believe in me, even though they die, they shall live." Do you believe this? Jesus says, "Take me to the tomb." And they take him, and there's a big rock in front of the tomb. And Jesus says, "Roll it away." And they say, "Oh no, Lord. He has been dead 3 days, and there may be a stench." They roll the stone away. And Jesus looks to heaven and he prays. He says, "Let me do this, so that they will know that I have come from you and I am your son." And Jesus says, "Lazarus, come forth." And you know what? He does. He does. Why does all this happen? Why did Jesus do this? So that people in that area at that time would know that he was the Son of God. So that people all down through generations would know that he was sent from God. So that people that read this story in the Bible will know that he came from God. So that those who tell the story of this incident will know that he came from God. And also because he was Lazarus' friend, and Lazarus was his friend. What a friend we have in Jesus. Amen.
Above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow. Keep your head together and call my name out loud now. upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yes, I will see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, yeah. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Oh baby, don't you know about winter, spring, summer, or fall? Hey, now all you've got to do is call. Lord, I'll be there, yes I will. Know you've got a friend. You've got a friend, yeah. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Oh yeah, yeah, you've got a friend.